restaurants and hotels may well be rejoicing the judgment of the Kerala High Court terming the levy of service tax in this year's finance bill as constitutionally invalid. But the final word on this question is not out yet. The Bombay High Court has reserved its order and the Delhi High Court is yet to hear the matter. But for now, Avantika Gode and Rukmani Rao explains how this issue is expected to pan out. The government has introduced service tax to include AC hotels and restaurants serving alcohol and food through the insertion of new sub-clauses to Section 65 of the Service Tax Statute. The single bench order of the Kerala High Court this month addresses the question of who gets to levy the service tax. And the answer to that, it says, and I quote, necessarily service forms a part of sale of goods and state government alone has the legislative competence to enact law imposing a tax on the service element forming part of sales of goods. Experts say that the underlying concern in the legal corridor has been the government's push to bring new services under the ambit of service tax.
It's a legislature who is formulating the policies issues, and there has been always a issue in terms of the duality of tax between the center and the state, that who has authority to levy tax on a particular transaction. And given the fact that service tax law itself has been evolving over the period of time, when it has first time introduced, it was on 3 services in the year 1994. Now there is, of course, except some services which have been prescribed under the negative list, most of the other services were liable to tax. Wherever there is some service portion involved, service tax legislature has trying to put some sort of a levy of service tax on those transactions.
While major hospitality chains that already come under the State Luxury Tax Acts may not get much relief from this order, standalone hotels and restaurants will certainly manage to get relief on account of this order.
See, the service tax on hotels has effectively come into effect only in 2011. Prior to that, there was no levy of service tax in relation to the supply or in relation to the providing accommodation in the hotel. Kerala High Court had examined both these issues and said that it is an unconstitutional. There was significant amount of revenue will be involved because now most of the hotels which are the 5-star, 4-stars have been started imposing the service tax to the extent of providing room services also and also on the supply of food. Both these issues have been held by the Kerala High Court being unconstitutional. Large amount of revenue is involved in this case.
But this is clearly not the last we have heard from the judiciary on this issue. Experts do believe that while division bench of the Kerala High Court may be the first immediate step, but given that multiple high courts are addressing the issue, it could well end up before the apex court. A big tax axe on companies that trade in derivatives. The Delhi High Court has ruled that losses incurred from derivatives are speculative and can't be set off against any other income. What it means, Avantika is here to explain it to us.
Overruling the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal's order, the Delhi High Court states that losses incurred from derivative trades are speculative losses and can therefore not be set off against the company's normal business income. Now, what does this ruling essentially imply? Now, if a company is allowed to set off a loss against its regular income, that means the entire amount of income that is taxable is reduced, and as a result, the company pays lesser tax. But the Delhi High Court has held that this is not currently permissible and held that losses from derivatives can be set off only against the company's speculative gains. Now, this question really came before the Delhi High Court by a petition that was filed by Realty Major DLF contending that derivative loss is business loss. The IT department, however, held that trading in derivative means effectively trading in underlying shares, and as a result, it's a speculative loss. Experts say that while this is a strong legal precedent, there is certainly need for more clarity on the issue.
It is very clear that we haven't heard the last on this issue. We will clearly be looking at possibly further escalation of the matter, even within the present judgment, as also various other taxpayers would be facing a similar problem in course of their assessments, then we can clearly see different judicial principles emerging on this issue, and therefore this matter clearly beckons sort of a uniform approach from the tax department, where once they have decided that derivatives type of transactions are not speculative transactions, then clearly engaging in such transactions cannot be engaging in speculation business also for the purpose of setting off of losses, and therefore a clear-cut policy in this direction will be helpful in eradicating most of the tax controversies that we expect to emerge.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Courtroom. Don't forget to send us your feedback. Our email ID and Twitter handle on your screen right now. We'll be back next week with more news and views from the legal corridors. Thank you so much for watching.